Hello everyone, and finally we are about to review The Power of the Daleks. Now, I have watched the animation and the whole story of The Power of the Daleks, and I absolutely loved it 100%. And I'm so excited today because I'm going to review the whole show of Power of the Daleks. Now, I'm not sure how long this review is going to be. I may divide up into two parts, but we'll see how we get on today. But if you haven't watched Power of the Daleks yet and you're still waiting for the DVD release, then that's fine. You don't have to watch it, but I'm doing it for the people who have watched it and tell me what your opinions on about Power of the Daleks, because I know many people would have seen Power of the Daleks on maybe Reconstruction or on, you know, many of the other YouTube videos that many people put out about Power of the Daleks, and you've been watching their reviews, so why not watch mine as well? So I'm going to give you my full honest opinion about all of the things within Power of the Daleks. We're going to be talking about regeneration, the Doctor's charismatic personality, the Daleks. Obviously, a Dalek story is not a story without the Daleks in it, obviously. And also, we're going to talk about the whole story itself and how the characters, you know, create such an intense drama in this, within the story. And so, let's get into the Power of the Daleks. Now, before we start, I just want to say that I'm just so addicted to this story because I have been keeping all the episodes of the Power of the Daleks since all of them were released, and I've been keeping them, and then on Thursday I finally watched it, and oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe, because I've never seen Power of the Daleks fully in all of the you know, content and stuff. I've never seen it fully on TV, on screen, and so I have no idea what the story is all about, but let me tell you something, that story is incredible. I have to use the word incredible because there is no other word to describe this story. It's just unbelievable. And so we will begin by, I have to say that the animation for this story has been really, really great. It's really brought back the whole story back to life. And if we didn't have that animation in it, or I wished if that content was still, you know, new and found and put onto DVD, that would have been so epic. But now we have the animation. Some people think, oh, the animation is going to be terrible. It's going to be absolute, you know, it's not going to be really good at all. But hold on. Now, I have a few stories on my DVD collection. And I have a few stories that were animated. Like, for example, I have the Moon Base, which was animated. We have the Invasion, that was animated. And we have loads of other stories that were animated and have turned into really brilliant stories. And now, more people recognise them and, you know, remember them more. Whereas if some of them were, like, on Reconstruction, such as the new Underwater Menace, and that was released in 2015, The Web Affair, but only one of the episodes was in Reconstruction, but people didn't mind that at all. And so the animation does really put you in the best position. That it would also give you quite a lot of good content, but also this kind of new animation I thought was quite good, and it really showed off all the, you know, the facial features of all the characters and how all persistent and how sly they are in the story. It really goes along with the whole of their actions and how they speak, and, you know, the audio is matching with their mouth, and so it's really a really brilliant animation. And I cannot doubt that that may have been one of the best animations I've seen for Doctor Who. And so that was just something I needed to point out, that if you do agree with me that the animation was good, or if you don't, or if you disagree with me, what would you say that was really bad about the animation? You tell me that. And so we might as well start off with the Daleks. So the Daleks in the story, well, I thought that, you know, why I think that the story is so brilliant, it's because of the Daleks itself, because they're different than any other Dalek stories that we've had. They're more cunning. They're very, you know, persistent, and and I'm not sure if I'm saying that word right, but they are quite sly because they really do connect to the actual colony itself. They actually act as their servants to gain the colonists' confidence, to make sure that they are a good ally. But then when they are taking away all of their, all of the colony's supplies that they're given, they're ordering, they're using those materials to make more Daleks. And this is the first ever story that I've seen actually a factory line of Daleks being made. And honestly, I never thought of that in my life to be witnessed. A Dalek, manufacturing factory making so many Daleks, almost like a confectionery factory, making all the same identical sweets. It's almost like making the same identical Dalek. It was just immensely incredible to watch all of those conveyor belts carrying all the Dalek cases, and also the little mutants, and making sure that they get all the right equipment like the guns and the sucker. And then we see hundreds and thousands of these Daleks being created, and that was such an amazing scene to witness. I thought that was one of the best cliffhangers for episode. It was from episode 4, and I thought that was a really good cliffhanger. That was so good. And I literally thought that the Daleks were quite perceiving, because they do gather the colony's confidence, because they've never heard of the Daleks before, and they think that with this space-time capsule landed in their laboratory, and they investigate and they find these Daleks, and they can actually use these Daleks for good use. And so they really do believe that the Daleks are like their allies, and they want to use the Daleks for their own, uses, such as gather more food. It'll be able to, provide more crops for us and stuff like that. But no, the Daleks are very sly and very, very secretive. And they almost turn their backs against the scientist. I think he's called Lesterson. And the Daleks literally, for 1 second, they turn their back on him, and they actually form a little alliance together with more Daleks, and they will get their power. Because Lesterson is providing the power for the Daleks in order for them to stay alive. Because in episode 2, he was trying to investigate how much power would the Daleks need in order to stay alive, and how they would serve us. And so they are draining quite a lot of power from their power supply. But instead, the Daleks are using and taking all of the power away, and using the power to turn themselves into, turn more into more Daleks. And so they're increasing the power to use it for their own power. And so that made the whole story quite unique. Because I've never seen a story actually stealing power in order for them to gain power. See what I mean? But I really do think that the Daleks are 100% brilliant in this story. They literally creep people so much, thinking that they're their friends, their servants. But no, when it gets to episode 6, it's completely different, and the Daleks go all chaos, and they literally kill and slaughter every single human being in the colony. And Bragan cannot stop the Daleks, and even so, the Daleks wouldn't even obey Bragan at all. And even so, speaking of Bragan, about the characters, Bragan is fantastic. He's very, very, as I said, he's almost like the Daleks. How they, kind of wanting, control. He wants power. He wants to take over as governor of the colony. And so he really he's very sneaky. He's very quite secretive towards his other, colleagues, such as Jane Lee, who is quite cunning and very, naive sometimes, because she really does make people quite vulnerable to her, and like, you want to, you're gonna do this for me, right? And you're gonna do it right now. I'm gonna get a Dalek on you. Yeah, she's very cunning, and she's very, manipulative to others, because she wants everything done for the power for Bragan, or obviously, because he's now starting to take in charge of the whole colony, and he wants to run the whole colony by himself, or with another partner, so aka probably Jan Lee or something like that. But then they really do go absolutely chaos, because the Daleks are now in control of every single human being, and they're slaughtering so many of them, and Bragan cannot control his own foot soldiers to stay calm and go and fight because they're being killed off. And Bragan doesn't understands that the Daleks cannot be destroyed, and so he really feels somewhat lonely, because he doesn't have the actual courage and confidence to go out and stop the Daleks and destroy them. But no, in actual fact, in the end, Bragan actually gets killed off by another scientist, because what Bragan does, he plans to slaughter the other colleagues of the whole colony. Excuse me. They plan to kill all the other colonists, because he only wants, him to be leader of the colony and no one else. And so he just basically kills off every single, colonist that he can find in the corridors, because he just doesn't want them to find out that he is going to be leader of the colonists. He's going to lead them into an enormous, horrible battle of some kind. But yeah, he really does play a big part in order to wipe out every single human being, but also here to wipe out the Daleks as well, because he wants control, he wants power, almost like the same as the Daleks. That's what I have to say, because Bragan is solely similar to how the Daleks want more power. They want power, they want to build a bigger and bigger army, and Bragan, he wants control. And so they really do share the same personalities with each other, if you know what I mean. And so definitely I think the characters in this, they become, quite generous. Everybody wants power in this story, and that's why it's called Power of the Daleks, because the Daleks are gaining power from the Lesserson's power supply in order for them to make more Daleks and therefore control the whole colony. Well, I don't think they want to control the whole colony. I bet they just want to destroy the colony and then go off to more distant planets and kill and conquer. That's the plan of the Daleks. And really, they do play a big part in the whole story, being quite sneakative and saying, I am your servant and I will obey you. They're gaining the people's confidence, and it really gives people, so much, confidence to trust them and make them, basically, they're their servants, and they honestly do believe that the Daleks are their allies and they want to help them. But no, the Daleks are more than that. They are more than just your friends. They are your enemy. And that's the one thing that they all forget. The Daleks do not trust anyone. They only care for themselves about the power. They don't care for your lives and what life you're gonna have after this. They don't care. All they care is about your extermination, and that's all they care about. But yeah, they're very sneaky. They're trying to gain your confidence, and therefore it leads you to trusting them, and that's what they want. That's the key. And so that's really what the whole story in the colony was all about, within the whole story, gaining the Daleks' trust, and then suddenly the Daleks stealing everybody's materials in order for them to make more and more Daleks. Almost thousands of them. I almost saw thousands of them in the last cliffhanger in episode 4. It was fabulous. Really fabulous. So yeah, I definitely think that the Daleks definitely do play the biggest role in the whole story. Not only forgetting, we have to mention Patrick Troughton, because honestly, he really does bring the whole story to life. He really brings so much fun. He's so charismatic, and he makes a wonderful Doctor, because apart from the old Doctor William Hartnell, who's kind of grumpy and quite serious in this matter, whereas for Patrick Troughton, this is where the kids and also for the young people of Doctor Who really relate to the Doctor, because he's being so funny, he's being a comedian, he's being a hobo, and sometimes he's really being that quite childish, and it makes all the children feels like, oh, this is one Doctor that I would love to pay attention to. And so he really feels like as connecting to the whole audience, because although he's being a bit childish, but he's getting used to his regeneration, as the whole audience have just reacted to the first ever regeneration of this whole story. And this is the first story that Patrick Troughton first appears in, but also appears to play the second Doctor. And he really gets the tone of who he is, and he always talks to himself in the third person, like, oh yeah, the Doctor had a diary, didn't he? But they don't realise that he is the Doctor. I was like, oh, the Doctor? Perhaps he did. And so he's always talking himself in the third person, making himself that he is not the Doctor, but he's like somebody else who knows the Doctor, almost. And so yeah, he definitely plays quite a very childish but very charismatic role in the whole story. He really brings so much fun and energetic character to the whole story. Really makes the show a bit more, you know, pleasing to the whole audience, and make sure they, you know, relate to the whole character, because every now and again the character needs a bit of fun. Apart from William Hartnell, who was always grumpy, very serious, very ignorant in his matter towards his companions and also to the audience, because he always tells people to shut up. But in this story, Patrick Troughton is very childish, but he's very, you know, makes people laugh, and he really does put on a show for everyone. And that's what just hard to say about, because Patrick Troughton really does deserve to be 100%. But the other thing that I quite liked about the story, because Patrick Troughton also realises that he is also under threat because of the Daleks, and he noticed straight away that they are in danger, because he just sees the Daleks, you know, capsules in her, like, oh jeez, I know they are going to destroy us. And whenever he sees a Dalek around, he knows that there's going to be conquer and destruction for no matter what. He knows that they are going to conquer and destroy every single human being on the colony. And the colonists, they don't know that. They have no idea what these Daleks are capable of. But the Doctor does. And Patrick Troughton really does believe the danger, and really feels that kind of creepy, you know, sensitivity that the Daleks are being their servants. But Patrick Troughton's really telling the colonists that how dangerous and how manipulative they are. And so they really just disbelieve the Doctor. And so they do feel that the Doctor's wrong and the Daleks are right to give them power. But also, the Doctor is trying to give them the reason, more important warning to don't trust the Daleks and just destroy them. They must be destroyed. And he's telling the colonists over and over again to get his points over, but they don't listen. And so that's the one thing I quite like about Patrick Troughton in the story. He's very commanding. He's really abruptive to the colonists, because they don't know the danger that they're in, because they're trusting the Daleks. So yeah, it's a really fascinating but very ultimate story to watch, and I absolutely enjoy it 100%. And so there is more to go on with this story, and I just think that within this story there's so much, you know, so many alliances, so many, you know, towards so much evil and corruption. And there really is a big sense of, you know, charismatic and fun in the story as well. Patrick Troughton being childish yet again. But also, this is the first ever story where the audience are introduced to the word regeneration. And they have no idea what regeneration meant, or what it meant when William Hartnell regenerated into Patrick Troughton. Maybe more people realise what regeneration was, probably when they watched Part of the Waves, when the 9th Doctor regenerated into the 10th Doctor. Perhaps they saw that it was all a part of a change, because Christopher Eccleston, who's an amazing Doctor, he also explained the process of regeneration. But at this moment, when William Hartnell regenerated to Patrick Troughton, there's no explanation given, and you don't know what has happened. It's almost like has the Doctor been infected with some deadly disease to change his appearance and his personality? And so really, I just think that the audience are quite new to this, and they're not given the reasonable explanation for the process of regeneration. And so there is the story where it really brings out what regeneration meant, and it's changing their appearance, because they're dying, honestly, and as Time Lords, they have to regenerate in order to make themselves, you know, alive again, and make them, you know, live on forever and ever. But also with that, the consequence is that they change their appearance, change their face, and also their personality as well. And every single character and every companion must get along with each Doctor, because every single Doctor has a different personality. Perhaps some may have a similar comparison to others, I don't know. But really, every single Doctor has a different personality to every single Doctor. And Patrick Troughton really introduced us to have much more fun and makes us more happy to watch him when he's being the Doctor. And so that's absolutely brilliant. Anyway guys, I hope you have enjoyed this first part of Power of the Daleks. Next time we're going to be moving on to more of, you know, what happens in the stories, more of the alliances, and I'm going to tell you more about the story in the next episode. But if you have really enjoyed this first part of Power of the Daleks, the review, then please do give a like to this video, but also please do subscribe, because more people are now starting to watch my videos. And with Power of the Daleks, and I've just watched it and it was so incredible. I just think David Whittaker did a fantastic job of making this show brilliant with all the Daleks in it. Fantastic. And so I hope you've enjoyed this video for today, and so I will get the next video up as soon as I can. But anyway guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time for the second part of the Power of the Daleks review. Have a good day.